Hi, my name is Ryan Sloan, and I want to welcome you to today's episode of The Gear Cage. And today we're going to talk about a really cool new audio recording technology called Dante. And I guess to get started, it's not really actually all that new. It's been around for a few years now, but it seems to be picking up steam more and more every year. And there actually are a few different technologies out there when it comes to IP network based recording technology, but Dante seems to be kind of clipping everyone at a much faster rate. So, definitely the most popular technology out there right now. So, once again, let's start at the foundation here and just say, what is Dante? At the core, it is just an audio distribution platform via networking. It's network-based recording. So this gives us some interesting advantages over things like USB or Firewire or Thunderbolt. One of the coolest ones, in my opinion, is distance. So if you've been recording with Thunderbolt interfaces, you may have noticed that your cables are extremely short. And that can be problematic sometimes depending on what you're recording. So for instance, you might get the best benefit transfer-wise out of Thunderbolt 3 cables that are 0.5 meters long. That's pretty short. I mean, we're talking about basically like this in terms of a cable length. So with Dante devices, a lot of times you can actually record or have devices up to 300 feet away. In fact, actually higher than that in many cases. That's pretty incredible. So where Dante is probably more prevalent right now, in fact, you might not even realize it, is in live sound. So a lot of digital snakes that you'll see for digital consoles actually do utilize Dante. So this means that you can actually set the stage box far away on the stage, plug all your I/O into the stage, run out of the snake into the speakers nearby, send all the microphones and everything back up to the console with just an RJ45 style Ethernet connection. Pretty cool what you can do there, but that's actually just the beginning of what Dante can do. So yes, we have the distance nailed, but perhaps the coolest thing that Dante lets you do is connect devices that wouldn't otherwise be connected. So let's take like a Yamaha live sound console, for instance. So usually these devices are proprietary, meaning that you're going to want a Yamaha Rio Snake with a CL board or something along those lines. But Dante lets you actually inject third-party devices into an existing Dante network. So effectively you have your Dante device, like let's say a digital mixer. In fact, right back here, we're going to be diving into this in a little bit, but in part 2 of this video, but we have a console that has a Dante card. And this is actually a Behringer X32, but let's say I wanted to get crazy, and this will be another video in the future too, but let's say I wanted to upgrade the converter quality and the preamp exponentially on a Dante network. I can actually still continue to use this mixer and just add this Dante device to the network and all of a sudden have unheard of audio quality. In fact, the device we'll be talking about later is the Rupert Neve Designs Dante preamp. Stellar audio quality on that thing, and it works with your existing console topology. That's amazing. So we have that as a feature on Dante consoles as well. Now, the next thing that you get to do with these systems is actually send audio to and from devices or computers all in real time, but also in kind of tricky ways. So right now, for instance, if you are recording with a Thunderbolt audio interface or a USB interface, those channels are typically going right from the interface to the computer and then out somewhere, either digitally or in an analog fashion. But with Dante, it kind of turns this whole notion on its head because you can actually send different inputs to different locations. This can become interesting in a recording studio, for instance, because you already know, since we talked about having huge distances available, that, for instance, you might have an A room in your studio and a B room, or for instance, we might have a basement office like we're down here right now, and I might have an upstairs room where I might want to track something. So as long as I'm on the same network, I can actually just plug in and actually utilize the same IO down here and send the audio up to the second story of the house via Ethernet connections. And I can actually play back and pull from the IO in different rooms. So one way this actually comes to bear here is we've got our X32 console. We've got that hooked into a Netgear router. Now, router is actually very important. When you're deploying a Dante system, you'll hear people talk about QoS a lot, and that stands for quality of service on a router. And you'll hear terms like managed or unmanaged switches. These are all effectively networking terms more than audio terms. But what it essentially just means is that you want to have a really good high quality router, typically from Cisco or from some of the other really higher end companies out there. So for our purposes today, we're not doing anything custom critical here. So yeah, just a simple gigabit Netgear ProSafe switch actually will run our Dante network. So we have the console plugged into the switch, and we also have a third-party device here, as I'm knocking everything over, plugged in. This is actually a RedNet box that allows for either connecting to monitors separately or to headphones. So really cool box that lets you monitor from a remote location. If you're in a video or audio recording studio kind of situation, a really cool thing you can do here is have different monitor stations with headphones for talent. So that just makes it easy to have high quality solutions that you can run various distances with multiple controls. You can also power it with Ethernet with what they call power over Ethernet, or PoE. And a lot of Dante devices do allow that. So that's a kind of another cool feature of Dante. So we have this mixer on the Dante network. We have our switch connecting the mixer and this headphone amp and monitor device to the same network. But it gets even crazier. And this is where the rabbit hole for Dante just keeps going down and down and down. It's very neat. So we've also got this MacBook Pro over here connected to the network as well. So from there, anytime you have an input device on a Dante network, it can be available basically anywhere. They have unicasting, which is more point to point, but they also have multicasting, which effectively allows you to split the same signal and send that various places. So that is some very cool technology as well. For this purpose here though, right now, we're effectively going from the console to the switch to the computer, and then we can take it into Pro Tools, for instance, and record or route channels through various mechanisms there and route it back out to this monitor box. So again, the biggest takeaway from Dante here at a surface level is that everything can talk with one another. And there are so many Dante devices out there that you can interact with that it just gets staggering actually with the things you can do. For instance, wireless microphone systems now come as Dante devices. So you can just click basically out of the receiver into a switch, and now wireless microphone 20 becomes available on the network, both to a live console or to a Pro Tools session with multicasting at one time. They also make pendant speakers now with Dante that can be powered over Ethernet. So now if you have a restaurant or a church commons area or a school, you can actually have a switch with PoE run just one cable to a pendant speaker in the ceiling and run not only the audio, but also the power to that destination. So you can wrap your mind around all of these uses out there for all of these devices on this digital network, and the possibilities kind of start to become a bit overwhelming. As I'm recording this now, I think there are about 16,000 different Dante devices out there, and they keep growing and growing and growing all the time. So check out the company that makes Dante, the Dante protocol, Audinate. You can check out their website for a list of approved devices. You can also get some of the software that you'll need. And we're going to cover that actually in part 2 and also part 3 of this video, where we dive deep into the software and explain how to set it up and how it works and all of those specific things. But the main two pieces, actually we'll say three pieces of software out there, are Dante Control. And this is where you actually do the routing right on your main computer. You can say that device 1 goes to device 2, channel 5 on device 1 goes to device 3, and so on and so forth. So this lets you build the audio matrix and the audio routing. Another piece of software that's very key on Dante systems is Dante Virtual Sound Card. And this is basically just what it sounds like. It allows the Dante Network to act as an input device into software like Pro Tools. So for instance, if you're using a Dante Network and get Dante Virtual Sound Card, you basically set it up, turn it on by hitting the start button. And then once you go to software like Pro Tools, it'll actually be listed in your audio hardware as a device, just like an audio interface would, or any other kind of input source. The third piece of Dante software out there that's common is called Dante Via. And this allows you to work with devices on a Dante network, but also integrate other devices on a computer. For instance, computer audio from Skype or something coming from Safari on a Mac or something. You can actually route those inputs on a computer back out through the network and to other computers. So if you have, an Apollo like we have recording over here, I can actually make that a quasi Dante device and send that hundreds of feet away to various sources, be it web streaming or another satellite studio or anything. So again, this is a very surface level video, but we covered a lot of topics talking about what Dante is, how it works, some of the cool things about Dante. So stay tuned next Tuesday, actually, where part 2 of the video will come out, and we'll do kind of a closer deep dive of setting it up, the menu systems components, both on devices natively as well as the computer side of things, and continue the hardware discussion in part 3 of the video that will come out actually next Thursday. So stay tuned. And before we head out today, thanks again for everybody who watched the Luna video on Universal Audio. The response has been phenomenal. All the questions have been fantastic. So I really do appreciate that. Just so you know, the giveaway of the Apollo, which you can't see it here, but they're stacked up here right now, will actually be on February 14th. So on Valentine's Day, we will announce the winner. Woo! If I don't drop it and break it here, of the Apollos. We got 2 of them here, so be on the lookout for that. The way you do enter to win that is just to go to the Luna page here, our Luna video that we'll link at the end here, and just subscribe to the channel, like the video, and then comment Luna, and you'll be entered to win that. So be on the lookout for that in the coming weeks. And then we will actually also start our next video series next week with bass. So we have resident bass guru Andrew Teeple joining us. It's going to be really cool, and he's going to dive into tons of bass topics, from getting started to more advanced topics to building your rig, crafting your tone, the whole gamut. And he is just such a wealth of information that you guys are really going to love that. So stay tuned for that. Please do subscribe to the page. Let us know if you have any questions. I'm Ryan Sloan. Thanks again for watching.